So we're here with Diamond Woolford. Diamond, thanks for taking the time doing an interview with us. So we're here at Girard College.
Yes.
You actually went to Girard yourself?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your time here.
Me as a student, I started here first grade and went all the way through to 12th. Actually, me and my brother enrolled at the same time. He started in third grade, and during that time, it was a little bit different of a place as compared to now, because generation change and all that type of stuff. But it was definitely fun. It was a place that my mom she brought me and my brother here because she didn't want us to go to the Philadelphia public schools. Basically, it was basically the choice of here, Milton Hershey, or Scotland School, and luckily enough, it was like last second. She found out through my aunt about Girard College and enrolled me and my brother here.
Nice. And you started to run track here?
Yeah. Me and my brother used to compete and, running up and down the block and things like that, but I didn't start like competitively until 7th grade when I was here. And one of the people that helped notice me was Coach Rick Lee. He was my very first coach.
Right. All right. So you ran track here.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good, obviously. You went to Penn State.
Right.
How did your time up there affect your decision to come back and start coaching?
Basically, my time up there, it didn't go completely how I planned it and wanted it to. Coming out of high school, I was probably one of the top recruits coming out in a long jump. That was my main event. And then my time at Penn State, it was filled with a lot of injuries. Literally, I only really got to compete maybe one season with no injuries. So I stuck around a little bit longer up there just to try to see if I can salvage my athletic career. And then, once things finally started running this course, I was like, at the end of the day, in the back of my head actually was to, at some point, come back and get back to the school. Because that was one of the things that Mr. Lee used to always tell us, like nonstop, like almost every, you gotta get back. Mm-hmm. So, just me being the person I am, even if he didn't tell me that, I would have probably did it, but it was even more so ingrained in me when he told me that. So once I moved back down in the area, I moved back down into Philly area in 2008, but then I started helping out with Girard, actually first with basketball. I think that was around 2012 or 13-ish. And then around that time, that's when Mr. Lee told me about Thelma. Okay. And she at the time was in like 6th or 7th grade, and I was checking on her, but I didn't have time to actually be down here full time because the job I had at the time was all the way up in Langhorne, PA. Okay. So eventually, once I ran this course with that job and got a little more local, that's when I was able to start helping out back here. And around that time, that's when Mr. Lee passed away, and that was in 2014. Okay. And so literally, once he passed away, I kind of took over from there.
Right. So your business is Athletic Development Group. Just tell me a little bit how you got started doing that.
Yeah, Athletic Development Group came from me and my brother. Like when we were coming out of high school, got to college, because actually my brother went to Penn State as well. Okay. We ended up, just thinking about our careers, how it went, and we feel as though we were very under-recruited. Just for some of the things that we did out of high school. And at that time, we didn't have the luck of the internet like we do now. So at the end of the day, me and him, we felt like we were under-recruited. So we always said to ourselves, we want to make sure some of the, especially the athletes in the Philly area, don't go through the things that we went through with not getting the notice that we probably think we should have. Right. And at the end of the day, it's not us just thinking we was that good and we should have more. Like, we actually were pretty good. Like, my brother was a state champion, I was a state champion, we were, tops in the country. So, and we probably should have had a little more offers than we probably should. So we just wanted to, the thing behind it was, all right, let us continue, once we get the chance and opportunities, let's make sure we figure out, for one, help other athletes as far as doing the right things to get better athletically, and then also make sure they do the things that they can to get seen with other colleges and things like that. So that's why we started Athletic Development Group. And it kind of, started with me training a kid up in State College when I was still up there in the State College area. a kid that went to the local high school, and I started training him when I was a volunteer for Penn State, and he ended up doing pretty well I think a sophomore. He got second in the 200, so it was and that's how it kind of got started.
Right.
And then we ended up helping out one of our old teammates from Penn State who was from Africa.
Okay.
And from there, we ended up bringing some kids over, helping get some kids over here from Africa. They competed at the Penn Relays, did pretty well, got scholarships. Actually, one went to LSU, another one went to Florida State, and a couple other kids went to a couple other universities. And what was crazy, the one kid that went to Florida State, he won the Bowerman Award, which is basically the Heisman Trophy of track and field.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then another one, both of them, they were All-Americans, national title, national winners, and things like that. And they ended up going to the Olympics, World Championships, competing for their native country of Zimbabwe. So that's kind of the things how things got started.
Right, and that's huge. And you just talked about my next question. I was just going to ask you about the success. I mean, I didn't know all of that, so thank you. I was going to say, you told me that you've had somebody that, made the NFL, made the NBA, many in collegiate sports, like you just said, the Olympics. So this isn't really new for you with Thelma. This is something that you've done, and it's a well-oiled machine, you could probably say.
Yeah. Fortunate enough, some of the athletes that I've come across, some of them just needed a little more extra help, and some of the things that I learned from some of my previous coaches, and then just me just starting to learn how to train a little bit more. And actually, a lot of the workouts that I give most of my athletes now is stuff I tested out on myself.
Right.
So it's just like, all right, I felt how I know how this feels, and I felt the results of it. Let me see how I can implement it on some of these athletes. I tell it to specifically to the sports and things like that, but it's one of those things where it worked out pretty well so far. Like I just said, I have a couple players that played in NBA. Actually, two of them, they're still playing. I worked with them for a little more than a year. Marcus and Marquise Morris, I worked with them over one summer.
Okay.
I had a couple guys that went to the NFL. They're a little retired now because I'm a little older. And then I have a slew of track and field athletes now.
Right. Yeah, and just going back, you were talking about your former coach, Rick Lee. Just talk about, or Rick Leak, sorry. Just talk about your relationship with him.
Oh, it was definitely a very, almost as close of a coach-athlete relationship as you can have. Somewhat of a father figure, because at the end of the day, I was raised by just by my mother.
Right.
My parents were separated, and at the end of the day, I really looked towards him for guidance of what to do next. He helped me out as far as track and field, and then just talking with him about any and everything. And he was really like a good adult father figure, male figure that helped me out a lot.
Right. And so obviously he was the one that introduced you guys, you and Thelma. Just talk about what you saw in her that just made you intrigued and wanted to work with her.
Yeah. So the story was, and she'll probably elaborate on it a little bit more, is he got her up here one day where she decided to go to the tryouts for track and field.
Right.
He clocked her, and she ran probably faster than everybody, including all the boys on that day. So essentially, he told me about her a little bit later after that tryout. And he just like, I got this one girl that's very fast, and I was like, oh, for real? And I think he clocked her in like something a little bit longer that would have been equivalent to when she was in like 6th grade. It would have been equivalent to like the high school district time for the PIAA. And I was like, are you serious? And this was when she was in 6th grade, so I was like, oh wow. So once I was, over those couple years, I would continuously asked a couple of the kids that I didn't know at the time that was a little bit older. I was like, where's that girl, Thelma? Coach Lee told me about her, where's she at? And then they'll point her out to me. And I don't know if she even remembers, but it's been a couple times I'll just say hi to her real quick, just check on her. And then, as she got up to 7th and 8th grade, that's when we started kind of, but not really. Like I said, a lot of people don't really know. She really actually started running in 9th grade. So there's a lot.
Like taking it seriously.
Yeah, because the time in middle school, at that time, they didn't really have that much of a middle school program. So she never really trained the proper way and really competed. So.
Right. And how did you guys like come up with a regimen? I mean, a lot of times you see somebody who's like a freak athlete, and then sometimes you see them level off. You know what I mean? They plateau, and you don't want to see that happen. How did you come up with a regimen that led to her going to the next level in college?
So the steps that I told myself what I was going to take with her is like, all right, she's very new to the sport. She doesn't know. She basically knows nothing.
Right.
So it's like, all right, let me, for one, not push on her too hard, so that, because at the end of the day with track and field, you like to do it, you have to like to run. That's all you do for practice, for your competition. You just run it constantly.
Right.
So I was like, all right, let me not push her too hard and make it too hard for her in the beginning, and I, slowly progress with, how hard the workouts would get, and things that, that technically that she really need to focus on. I just implemented certain things year by year so that she could continue to get better with her running form. And even still now with her, like at the end of the day, she's only been running for 3 years. So there's still a lot of deficiencies in her running that I'm still constantly trying to fix, and things that she still will revert back to her old ways because she still doesn't have the complete muscle memory. So it's just always trying to change things, going back to the basics when we need to, things like that.
Right. How do you think this year is going to go for Thelma? I don't want to mess this up, but she could be a 4-time state champion in the 100 and 200 meter dash, correct?
Yes.
All right. So how do you think this year is going to go?
You always say knock on wood, bearing, as long as we don't have any type of injuries or anything like that, and I'm always conscious of that with, how we go through each week, just to give her the proper rest she needs. Long as everything goes right, there's no reason why that can't happen. And then, at the end of the year, we always set a goal at the beginning of each and every year as far as what times we want to hit. I try to let her give me what she thinks she hit first, and then I'll tell her what I think she should hit.
Right.
And then we try to, come to a medium from there. And, at the end of the day, for what she's accomplished so far, the times that she's run, the competitors that she's competed against, it's like, all right, we need to make sure we setting it at least this, because where you could possibly be within the very near future, being even this coming summer, and then next year with it being an Olympic year, we need to try to hit at least these numbers.
So not looking too far ahead, but next year she's going to be at LSU. Coach Dennis Shaver is going to be her sprint coach.
Yes.
What do you expect that year to look like for her?
I would suspect it to be not too much harder than what we've been doing. Of course, it's going to be a little bit harder because she'll have a whole team around her of other girls that run just as fast, or if not faster than her.
Right.
So she's going to have to push a lot more, and she's going to be getting some of the top workouts from Coach Boo, who was the strength and conditioning coach up there. And he's one of the top guys in probably the world, actually. So the coaching staff at LSU is tremendous, top notch. So it's going to be a little bit harder because, like I said, she's going to, on a more consistent basis, going to have to push her body a little bit harder just because of her teammates, and then the level of competition that she's going to have to get ready for and compete against. So it's, one of the things I always tell her, my first, I would say, month and a half, 2 months up at Penn State, I was walking around like barely able to walk because how sore I was.
Right.
So I expected it not to be that bad because the training that I've been giving her, come to find out, has been similar to what LSU does now.
Right.
Because actually on some of the recruiting trips that when Coach Shaver has come and what's her name, Coach. Yeah, Coach Ards, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, when Coach Ards has come, she gave me a little insight of some of the things that they do, and she showed me some things on her iPad, and it's like very similar to what I do now.
Right.
So, like I said, what's going to make it even harder for her is because she's going to have to probably push a little bit harder because she got to hang with her teammates, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Now, how much are you going to help her once she's there? I mean, obviously she'll be. She's a phone call away. But she'll be a long ways away. So how are you going to try to help her through that process?
Just whatever questions she may have, just try to make sure whenever she does call or text me, just answer them as soon as possible.
Right.
And just be that person she can always just call whenever about
Right.
whatever. So,
Right.
you know, it's gonna be different being down at LSU, that big, you know, big old campus compared to here at Girard. But,
Right.
you know, she gets along with any and everybody
Right.
very quickly. So
Right.
other than that, she should be fine.
Right. And you touched on it a little bit about the Olympics. And I guess this might be a little bit of a redundant question, but what's that next step to get to the Olympics?
Just continuously build on her form. You know, really getting the muscular motions that she needs to continue to get better and faster. You know, just really harping on just drills, and whenever she's doing any of her drills or when we practicing, always figuring out, all right, what was I doing wrong in my last meet? What was I doing wrong in my last practice? Let me fix that right now.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, one of the things I've told her from the beginning is not too many women, you know, like I was at the collegiate level as far as, you know, Penn State was in the Big Ten. Even at a very young age, there's not too many women that I've seen that had some of the abilities that she has now.
Right.
As far as how explosive she is, how strong she is, and some of the things she's able to generate as far as with her arms and get her legs moving. There's not too many women I've seen being able to do that. Now we just got to make it more efficient. That will help carry her down the track a lot faster.
All right.
So.
Well, you're getting us all excited. All right. Now, best of luck with the upcoming season. Appreciate the time.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.